Attention ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another Air Dave tour. If you've read the title, you've probably figured out where we're flying today, or if you haven't, let me give you a hint. That's right, we're going to fly around New York City. So we're going to check out the 5 boroughs, some of the most famous landmarks, and just generally talk about New York City, a place that Liz and I have been fortunate enough to go to a few times, and I have to say is probably my favourite holiday destination. So let's get started. Hello ladies and gentlemen, so you join me just above Brooklyn. You can see that we've got the Brooklyn Bridge just down to our right. We've got Manhattan as well just down to our right. What I thought we'd do for this tour is we'll start from the south and then work our way north. So the first thing we're going to go and see is the Statue of Liberty, good old Lady Liberty. Present from the French to the US, and whoever thought the French were rude. So we're going to duck down, check that out, then we're going to go and have a look at Manhattan. Start from the south, work our way north, go from the financial district, up through East Village, up to Times Square and Empire State Building, all the way up to Harlem, and as well as checking out, of course, Yankee Stadium. We kind of have to, don't we? So there she is in all her glory. She's a big girl, but she's a majestic girl. Standing out, symbol of hope and liberty for everyone. And as we swing around, you can then see downtown Manhattan, so pretty cool view to have. If you hop on the ferry from Battery Park and you head on down to Staten Island, you'll be able to go and check out the Statue of Liberty. And of course, New York City is comprised of 5 boroughs. So we have Manhattan, Brooklyn, the Bronx, Queens, Staten Island. And the population of New York City is 8.8 million, and 1.6 million of those live right here on the island of Manhattan. So considering the amount of people that would come here for work, considering the amount of people that come here from around the world, on top of the 1.6 million that call this home, you can see how it gets pretty packed pretty quickly. And of course, New York is one of those places that's just like the movies. If you've ever seen New York in a movie, which I'm sure you have, as soon as you go there, you honestly feel like you're on the set of a movie. It's pretty crazy. But as we approach downtown Manhattan here, the south part, we have Battery Park down there. As I said, you can catch ferries from there. And then what we're moving into is the financial district. So you've got Wall Street, and of course, directly in front of us, quite apt considering the time this video is going to go live, we have the One World Trade Center. So if you do come to New York, I really implore you to go and check out the memorial and the museum. If there's one thing the Americans can do really well is build a monument and a memorial. And they've actually got it in game here. You can see just down there, they've got the World Trade Center Memorial. It is fantastic checking it out. I really, really do recommend it. So you can see just down there the 2 squares where the World Trade Center once stood. And of course now we have the new boy, One World Trade Center, standing pretty tall. You can see it's doing a pretty good job of rendering it. Because New York is so dense, Flight Simulator on Xbox does have a little bit of trouble rendering all the buildings, so you got to kind of forgive that some buildings tend to pop out of nowhere, or some look a little bit average and then come good. There's a lot of things it's obviously trying to calculate and draw for us here in Manhattan. So as I said, this 9/11 area, definitely a really good place to come and check out. Highly recommend. It is quite moving, obviously. And while we're in this part of New York, I think what we'll do is we'll quickly have a look at Brooklyn Bridge. So this bridge just here, the main link between Manhattan and Brooklyn. And just on the Brooklyn side of the bridge, there's a pizza place that if you take one piece of my advice, the only thing you listen to in this entire video, and you go to New York, you need to walk over the Brooklyn Bridge, and just at the base of it is a pizza shop called Grimaldi's. You have to go there. If I find out that you've watched this video and then you went to New York and you didn't eat at Grimaldi's, I'll kill you. But once you've enjoyed your pizza from Grimaldi's, if you can still fit more in, there's a few nice ice cream shops down there as well. Or you can just basically walk back over the bridge and pretend that, you know, this little 1 kilometre walk or whatever it is enough to work off however much pizza you've eaten, and I can assure you it's going to be a lot. And just in front of us on the New York side of the Brooklyn Bridge, we're going to be moving into East Village. So basically there's a few distinct districts on Manhattan. We have the financial district that we just showed you, sorry, we have Hell's Kitchen, we have Times Square, we have Harlem, and over here we have East Village, also known as the Alphabet Streets, because they have Avenue A, B, C, D, etc. A lot of gentrification has gone on in this particular area of New York, of Manhattan, and when we last stayed in New York back in 2015, this is where we stayed, and it certainly didn't look all that good, to be honest. It looked a little bit sketchy, but it was fine. There was no issues. It was perfectly fine. A little bit hipstery, if you like. It is a nice place to go and hang out, and there's a lot of nice coffee shops, a lot of nice little bars, little bodegas, that sort of thing. But yeah, cool place to go and check out. They do have some nice cafes as well. 9th Street Espresso is really good. So if you're an Aussie looking to head over to New York, or you're just someone who likes their coffee and you need to know a few coffee recommendations, 9th Street Espresso is a very strong shout, I can promise you that. As we move away from the financial district, we're going to start moving up towards the middle of Manhattan. You can see a little Hell's Kitchen icon just popping up on the right, Madison Square Garden, the Flatiron Building, which is where Broadway starts, and of course the big boy in front of us, the Empire State Building. Obviously, if you're going to go to New York, you need to go up the Empire State Building. Check out the view from the top of that. It is just sensational. Beautiful 360-degree views of Manhattan and surrounding areas. You got New Jersey over there on the left, Hoboken, and then of course you have Brooklyn and Queens over to our right. So let's just fly over. Probably need to get a little bit of speed to try and get up because we're flying quite low. Yeah, really nice sort of area to walk around here, this Flatiron District. And actually walking around Manhattan itself is really easy because it is just laid out in a grid. Even someone who's a geographical retard like me can figure it out pretty simply. See, the rendering of these buildings is magnificent, of course. We have the Empire State Building here, which just looks unreal. So let's just loop around a bit. Sorry for the shoddy camera work, but there we go, we've got ourselves sorted. We've got Madison Square Garden just off there. But yeah, Empire State Building, it's so impressive when you go there, and even the elevator just flies up to the top, go up to the observation deck. If you can get there around sunset time, it is just stunning. The view over Central Park is beautiful. Obviously an icon of the city, and I mean, it's an icon of an icon really, I suppose is the way you could put it. And we have Times Square just nearby, which is yet again another icon. And of course that at night time is just sensational, the way that all the advertising boards light up the entire area. And if you go near Times Square and you want some nice food, you got to go to Virgil's. Easily the best barbecue food we had when we were over in America last. It was just unreal. So definitely worth a shout going to there. Got the Chrysler Building, which has been in a ton of movies, of course. I mean, all these landmarks are just so famous. That's what I find just so amazing, that I could imagine anyone can really go to New York and you'll find something that you know of, you've seen in TV shows, you've seen in movies. I mean, it must be a bit strange for people that live here and we're so familiar with their home. It must be a bit odd. Anyway, we're coming up to Central Park, obviously. No mistaking that. And this is, again, another iconic place. You can ride a bike around the perimeter. It's about a 9-kilometre trail. There's obviously tons to see and do within the park itself. There's a zoo, there's amphitheatres, baseball diamonds. So depending what you want to see, you just want to get away from the concrete jungle. I mean, it looks almost comical that you've just got all these buildings and everything, concrete everywhere, and then just this slab of grass and a lake and trees. Just doesn't seem right, does it? So if you need to get away from the hustle and bustle, this is where you can do that. I'm going to guess that's probably the zoo down there. Probably should have done a bit more research, I'm not sure. Baseball diamonds, nice big lake. And just in front of us, we're approaching Harlem. So my mate Antonio recommended that when we came here to New York, we had to go and check out a place called Sylvia's, just up here in Harlem. And we went there on a Sunday morning, I think it was, probably 10 or 11 a.m. And it was just after church. And I say that because the whole community had just been to church, dressed immaculately, came out to have a feed with the family. We happened to, stumble in there at that time. And the fried chicken and cornbread was honestly something to die for. It's something that makes me drool just at the thought of it even right now. It was just sensational. So if you go to New York, you need to go to Grimoli's, but you need to come up here to Harlem to Sylvia's. You will not regret it. It is sensational. And just above Harlem, where we're headed now, is Yankee Stadium. So of course we've got to go and visit that since we're wearing this. We've got Derek Jeter's hat just there. Got to respect the captain. So I want to come up here and check out Yankee Stadium. Should look pretty cool. I think the next time we go to New York, it'd be awesome to go to a baseball game, although I can imagine that tickets would sell out years in advance. When we were last here, we actually ended up in Boston as well. We managed to get to Fenway Park, and that was an experience and a half. That was so cool. Might have to do a future flight around Boston perhaps, but it'll be interesting to see how Yankee Stadium is rendered here in game. It already looks pretty good, if I'm honest. Some of the stadiums in game, especially over in England, if you go to London, check out Emirates Stadium. Go up to Liverpool, check out Anfield. Go to Manchester and check out Old Trafford. A lot of effort has gone in to drawing these stadiums. And by the look of things, just off to our left, it looks like they've done a pretty awesome job of Yankee Stadium. That looks awesome. I mean, you cannot complain with that, can you? Even got the logo just behind the diamond. That's beautiful. You can get a ferry or a cruise line that takes you around Manhattan, all the way around the island. And as long as the tide is playing ball, you can get all the way around. Unfortunately for us, just up here near Yankee Stadium, the weather wasn't playing ball and the tide was too high, and we couldn't actually check out this part of Manhattan because apparently we were going to basically hit the bridge, which wouldn't have been too optimal really, so we didn't get to do that. So if you do get the chance to do the cruise line, go and do that. We'll get one more view of Yankee Stadium in just before we head off. Honestly, some of the landmarks in this game just blow me away. I mean, forget that car park that looks like a skate ramp behind it, but the actual stadium itself, I mean, that just looks unreal. They've even got the advertising boards in there. I mean, it's just sensational, the level of detail. As we make our way back into Manhattan over Central Park, I mentioned coffee earlier, a place that I really want to give a shout out to, and if, once again, you're an Aussie that's going over to New York or just someone who needs coffee, you need to go and check out Little Collins NYC. It's a place that's modelled off a street in Melbourne, Little Collins, and they've even got the street sign up on the back. They've got things like Anzac biscuits, they do a Vegemite on toast, sorry. Like it's a really awesome cafe with a bit of an Aussie influence, and they do sensational coffee, so I'm so glad we managed to stumble upon them when we were last there. I think they actually moved recently, so I went to look them up, make sure they were still around before making this video. They used to be on Lexington Avenue, but it seems like they've moved to 3rd Avenue. So as I say, if you happen to be watching this and you're going to be going to New York anytime soon, you need to go and check them out. It's amazing how beautiful concrete can look, I think, in my opinion. It's just, you think it could be really boring or just have no character. Like, as much as I love Japan, I thought Tokyo didn't have all that much character. It was just quite literally concrete. Whereas you can't say the same thing about Manhattan and about New York. I mean, I guess because even though this island is so small, each area has such a distinct characteristic to it. And also just off to the right, I should mention that you've got Chelsea, you've got Hell's Kitchen, you also have the High Line Walk. So it's an old train line that isn't being used anymore, and it's now a walk, so you can get up there, have a look over the city, over some of the city streets. It's not strenuous at all, anyone can do it, but it is really worthwhile. As we fly over once again, Empire State, Madison Square Garden down there. Go and check out the New York Knicks, a team that actually doing pretty well this year, well, did well last year, sorry, which is a bit of a change. They've been pretty rubbish for quite a while, and the fact of the matter is they still sell out games because you come to New York, you want to see the NBA, you want to see sport, you're going to go and check out the Knicks. And as we come over the Brooklyn Bridge, we're going to have one final look at Lower Manhattan, the financial district and all the buildings around it. Now, for the eagle-eye viewers of you who've been watching, you may have noticed that the choice of plane for today's flight is a Cessna 172 with a little bit of a twist. And that twist is that it's fitted with floats. And I'm sure you're piecing together what's about to happen as we round the bottom tip of Manhattan, and we're going to be heading over the Hudson River. And that's right, I'm going to end this video with some cheese, which is going to be me doing a Hudson River landing. You knew it was coming, and I'm sure you just groaned at the sheer thought of it, but I've got to do it. So basically we're going to line ourselves up here on the Hudson, drop some speed, drop some flap, and we're going to do our best impersonation of Captain Sully. Certainly not doing anything anywhere near as remarkable as what he achieved, but it's got to be done. So we're coming in nice and slowly now. We can drop some flap. Just want to make sure that we're in flap territory. And we'll just be able to calmly come down just outside Hell's Kitchen on a nice, beautiful, clear day. Of course, every landing on an Air Dave tour goes absolutely perfectly, so you'd expect no different. Look at that shadow coming in. Oh, a little bit of a bounce, don't worry about that. And again, and again, and again, and again. Okay, don't worry about that. So you might be a bit seasick, but don't worry about all that. We're down, we're safe. So thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe so you don't miss any future Air Dave tours. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. See you in the next video.